All right, looks like we're live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. We are at day three. We're halfway through this week's series, right, on finances for event planners. And I'm just gonna say today's topic is probably my favorite of them all. Spoiler alert. This is also a big part of it's like one of the first things we do whenever I'm assessing a new client that I'm working with is going through this exercise that I'm about to talk about because it's important to pay yourself. From your business, it's important to pay yourself every month to be able to give yourself a salary to know what's going on with your money. So I love to start with this. Before we start talking about increasing, it's good to know where you are and then figure out how we can increase, yes, your revenue, but also how much you're able to pay yourself, right, from your business. So let's get into it. Today is day three of the finance series for event planners, and we're talking about how to pay yourself from your business. Even though as an event planner, you're running a seasonal business, you are running you're running a business, that's seasonal. There are some times that are busier than others, and that's okay. You should still be able to pay yourself a consistent salary year round using what I'm about to talk about today. All right. Now, for those of you guys who are joining, I want you to know this channel is for everybody. It's for people who are planning a wedding, people who are planning events for their organizations, their corporations, their nonprofits. It's also for event planners. And this series itself is specifically for event planners. And so I just wanted to put that out there. Don't unsubscribe. There's more content for everybody coming as usual. But for event planners, we like to do these little mini series because we know a lot of you guys are watching us for years at a time, for a longer time period. And, we just want to keep it nice and fresh for you. All right. So my name's Faye Shala. I'm the owner of Statuesque Events. We are an event planning company based in the DC metro area. We produce events everywhere, though. So we've gone as far north as Boston, as far south as Florida, as far west as LA, right? And we've also done Texas, the Midwest, a lot in between. And we love producing amazing modern events for corporations and couples alike. I also have a coaching program called Planners Who Profit. This is where we help event planners like yourself grow a more profitable business. We help planners who are seasoned. We've had planners with as little experience as like 2 or 3 years, but our average clients are like year 7 to 10 who come into our programs, which would be it Planners Who Profit Live or Accelerator. And we're helping you to get to that next level of business because at this point, you're seasoned, you know what you're doing, right? You do a good job and we want to help you get to those next levels, right? 6-figure business, 5-figure contracts, paying yourself a decent salary, being able to go full time. That's what we work on. All right. Now, all that aside, today, like I said, we're talking about finance for event planners. And I want to say before we go too far, there is a resource in the description box. It is 100% free. I'm going to give you my tracker, which tracks your income. It tracks your expenses. And then there's a sheet that auto calculates how much income you're expecting for each month, how much expenses you're expecting for each month, how much based off of that you should be setting aside for taxes, just given a general estimate, right? A general estimate of 15%. Everybody's tax situation is different. So you can change that in there in the sheet as well, based off of what is more true to you. And then also how much you can pay yourself, considering all of that. So basically, if you keep up with this tracker, this is a really quick and dirty easy way for you to be able to start paying yourself monthly. All right. So I'm going to talk about some principles, of course, but I want you to go ahead and grab that tracker. It is free. But when you're done filling it out, you might say, man, I can only pay myself $500 a month, or I can only pay myself $2,000 a month. How do I increase this? That's when you come back and apply to join the Planners Who Profit Accelerator, right? Or 10 Planners Who Profit Live, because that's what we do there, right? We help you to grow and get more. But this is a great assessment for you to start somewhere. And whatever it says, even if you're not happy with the number, start there. Even if it says pay yourself $500 a month, even if it says pay yourself $200 a month, start doing that, right? Get in the rhythm of paying yourself from your business. It's really important for the growth of your business, for you to build momentum and feel like you're running a real business, not just a side hustle or a hobby. So I want you to make sure you do that. All right. Now, principles. Principles are number one, make sure you set aside money for taxes, right? And as you're building a profitable business, you can't wait until April when you file your taxes to just decide whether you owe taxes or not. Like if you're running a profitable business, you owe taxes every quarter, right? Or if you have a quarter where you don't make any money or whatever, then maybe you skip that one. But generally every quarter you should be paying estimated taxes, or at least by the end of the year, you should be paying estimated taxes instead of waiting until April. If you wait all the way until April and you owe more than $1,000, then you're opening yourself up to penalties from the IRS. And nobody wants that, right? In addition to paying the same taxes that you should have just paid earlier, you're opening yourself up to penalties. So with that, you want to make sure that as money's coming in, you're always setting money aside from taxes. It doesn't have to be this shock at the end of the year. It really doesn't have to be. Like I talked about this a lot yesterday in yesterday's video about the best bank account for event planners and why I love using this bank account that allows me to have reserves and automatic reserves so you can set taxes aside. That's a very important principle, especially as you're building a more profitable business. If you've been running your business at a loss or breaking even, you probably have not really thought about this because you haven't owed a lot or anything in taxes. But once you get to the point where you're running that six-figure business, and especially when it changes really quickly, you want to make sure you get in the habit of this, right? Taxes, of course, expenses, right? I think a lot of times the reason we're not paying ourselves is because we don't have a handle on our expenses. So you want to start estimating ahead. If there are tools that you pay for every month, estimate that out. The spreadsheet that is in the description gives you the tools to estimate your expenses out, right? Your tools, whatever monthly tools, subscriptions, estimate all that out, right? Also estimate, hey, I have an event this month. How many assistants was I planning on hiring when I sold this, right? Estimate how much you're going to pay for that. Like estimate as much as you can out. And then as new expenses come up, you can lay it in there, right? The last thing I want to say about the last principle, which is a big one, is choosing not to be surprised. You know, a lot of times people say, oh my gosh, in low seasons, all of a sudden I don't have any money. But I don't mean to be mean, but it shouldn't be a surprise that some months you're getting paid less and some months you're getting paid more because you're the one who set the payment schedule. As the business owner, you're the one who sent the contract out saying, I want this payment on this day, this payment on that day. So it's not a surprise. This isn't something that's just happening to you. You just haven't been tracking it, right? So if you use this sheet, you get to track out like, okay, I'm going to get these payments. Oh man, I got a whole bunch of payments coming in June and I have almost nothing coming in August, right? You get to see it ahead of time before it happens. And one more principle that I want to share is that your bank account should never be zero. I think part of the problem that a lot of us have is that you think that, okay, I have money this month, so I'm just going to withdraw $10,000 this month because I have it. Then the next month comes and you're tight on money, so you don't withdraw anything, or maybe you put some of your personal money back into the account and you're just reacting to whatever you see in your account. It shouldn't be that way. Your bank account should really never be zero. It really shouldn't. I mean, if you have events booked for the future, you need to pay assistance for the future. You should have money in the account for that. So you shouldn't just be reacting to that. You should be planning out. All right. So when you use this spreadsheet, you enter in, sit down and say, okay, I have these 8 events booked for the next 18 months. Type in what for each event that you have booked, when are the payments coming in and how much is coming in. Go to your expenses, estimate your expenses based off of monthly expenses. If you have an assistant, if you have a course that you're taking, if you have whatever things that you're doing, estimate those things out in the estimation tab. It makes it really easy to do that. And then the third tab is just going to spit back information. This is how much you're making each month. This is how much you're expending each month. This is how much you have left over. This is how much should be probably allocated to taxes. And so then this is how much you should be paying yourself, right? Assuming with all those numbers that are in there. Obviously, if you book another client tomorrow, that's more money coming in. And if you pick up another expense tomorrow, that's more money coming out. So it's a working sheet, but that's why that third tab all it does is it spits back the information back to you that you need to forecast and plan ahead. I want you to know this spreadsheet is worth a lot of money. I really debated making this something that people would pay for, pay at least $100 because it's really a game changer if you actually put it to use. So I want you to actually go ahead and grab it. I want you to actually use it. I know a lot of times when something is free, we tend to devalue it. We tend to not actually use it. I want you to go in and use it. I want you to give yourself time. It should not take you more than maybe an hour to fill this thing out, maybe an hour and a half. If you just have a lot going on expense-wise and all that, fill it out. Fill it out, right? It may feel tedious while you're doing the big dump at first, but maintaining it each week should not take you more than maybe 30 minutes, if that, probably even less. And it's going to give you a handle on your finances. You're going to be able to see into the future, have a handle on your finances, and you'll have peace knowing exactly what's going on there. All right. So if you have any questions, leave them in the description box. Like I said as well, some of you are probably like, man, I don't even need to fill out this sheet to know that I'm not making enough, right? Like my business is not generating money at all, or it's not generating enough. That's okay too. Make sure you listen, I'm going to be a straight shooter. You need to join us at Planners Who Profit Live, taking place in Miami, April 17th to 19th. Go ahead and do it. If for any reason you're not available that day, apply to join our 6-month accelerator. Everything is in the description box. Those resources are there to help you grow your business. People who come into our program make the money back really quickly. They make the money back because it's an investment. It's a true investment, meaning that it's going to pay you back, right? And then make sure that you also, again, do the spreadsheet, fill it out. It's going to give you a handle on where you are. And then if you do the spreadsheet and join working with us, as you see your money grow, you'll be able to see how much you can pay yourself grow, right? And so that kind of leads me to how you pay yourself a consistent salary. I believe in doing the exercise of deciding how much you pay yourself every month, twice a year. And at a certain point in your business, you may only do it once a year. So for me, it's usually around December and June. And then I start paying myself the new number I calculate in January or July. So what that means is that right now you may go into the spreadsheet, calculate it, and it says, okay, I can afford to pay myself $1,000 every month. And then over the next 6 months or the next few months between now and July, you book 4 new clients. I don't change how much I'm paying myself. I wait until July. Then I sit down and look at the numbers and say, okay, based off of what I did, I can give myself a raise of $300 a month, $500 a month, right? Or maybe based off of what I did, yeah, I'm making more money, but I'm pretty much in the same place because those new events I booked are far out, right? So for, those new events that I booked are so far out that, yeah, I made more money and that's going to cover me for the next, further out, which is great, but I'm going to keep how much I'm paying myself monthly the same. You want to keep doing this exercise of looking at it every 6 months at the most. And again, at a certain point, you might just be comfortable just doing it once a year, especially when you get to the point where what you're paying yourself every month is enough. Like when I had my day job and my business, once I got to the point of paying myself $2,000 a month on top of what I was making for my day job, like that was more than enough to cover the things that I wanted and I needed, right? So I was comfortable with that, and I didn't feel the need to like push myself to a raise every 6 months. If you're at the beginning stages of this is your first time really like going through a growth sprint financially, a lot of us have been busy, but you're not actually growing, right? It's your first time like, hey, I want to push myself financially through a growth sprint. You probably could do this every 6 months and you might be surprised at the results after 6 months. We've worked with people and after 6 months, they've gone full-time in business. It's been that quick, right? So obviously a lot can change in 6 months if you're in that ramp up phase, which is what we like to work with people through on. Okay, so if you have any questions, drop them as a comment on this video. We reply to every single comment on this video. Some of your comments may even turn into future videos or future series. So drop your questions about anything there. Make sure you join us in Miami at Planners Who Profit Live, Miami. Make sure you use the sheet. I keep referencing it, but I'm hoping that this convinces you that it's worth the time to set aside to do this, right? I know a lot of times it's tempting to not want to do something that is quote unquote mundane, but this is what brings the peace. Being on top of your stuff is what brings peace, right? And this is really, really, really important for you to get a clear understanding of where you are in your business and how to push yourself forward. All right. As always, it's been great hanging out with you guys. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this with someone who could use it. Make sure you use the resources in the chat box, and we'll be back again tomorrow with more videos. All right. Cheers and enjoy the rest of your day.